right, welcome in KC Sports Tonight. Me and Neil Jones. If you tuned in.
Why do you always give yourself top billing? Me and
Neil Jones, from left to right, you know. If you tuned in during our 5 o'clock newscast, you probably heard how excited we were. You heard Neil clapping about the two of us hosting the show today.
You're hosting. I'm along for the ride. I have a question to ask. You weren't that cold on Sunday night, but did it take you a while to because I was frozen. I went home. I got to bed about 4:30 in the morning because that's when I took a hot bath and sat there, and finally my body temperature rising. And it wasn't even that cold, but I was frozen.
Well, I was, as you've been telling everybody, up in the press box drinking my hot chocolate during the game. But I was still outside for some of it, you know. Interviewed a happy couple that got married before the game.
Now, that was a good story. Was that fun?
That was fun. Yeah, they were super excited. They were surrounded by 30 of their closest friends and family and their little daughter.
And can you imagine for the rest of their married life, they're going to have to explain, no, that was the game that the Chiefs played like garbage in the fourth quarter and lost because Andy Reid went for it twice.
And all of the receivers,
all of the receivers, they couldn't
forgot how to catch a football. Yeah, but still fun. They had it made. I mean, they had a whole suite outside in like the Ford tailgate district with like the lamps with the fire and stuff. So like when I was there, I honestly wasn't that cold. It was really just walking. And then of course we went out in the field after. But
well, let me ask you this, and this is a serious question. I think weddings are not, guys are into weddings too, but it's for the bride. I believe the bride and the mother of the bride, and sometimes the mother of the groom. I think that they get into the weddings and it's just so exciting for them. And I've for a year I videoed weddings part time. When I first moved up here, there were no television jobs, and so I ended up doing that a little bit.
You got back into that about a month ago.
And yes, I did, and it was a lot of fun. But what I was going to bring up is, what do you think about getting married? If you haven't been married yet, if you were to get married and someone would say, hey, let's get married at a game, let's get married at a sporting event, what would you think about that?
I would probably say no, me personally. But this couple seemed so excited, and it was actually the bride was the one who filled out the application to like win this sweepstakes from Hellsberg and the Chiefs. So she was like the most excited about it.
Oh, I love Hellsberg.
Hellsberg and the Chiefs, and they also gave them their wedding bands, which was super nice.
Hellsberg is a local business, and they gave my wife some. I think I'm not supposed to say this because maybe I can't talk about it. They didn't give anything to me, but they gave something to my wife on our anniversary when I had to give a speech, or I was signed up from the station to host something. And I happened to mention at the very beginning of it, I had my wife stand up, and it's like 800 people there, 500 people. And I said, this is my wife. I don't normally make her stand up and wave to everybody, but this is our anniversary, our 32nd or anniversary. And she gave me permission to spend our anniversary here with you all tonight. And some folks from Hellsberg's Diamonds got up and went up there and said, we want to give her something.
Well, that's nice.
But I think I'm probably not supposed to do that because it's almost like payola. They gave my wife something, and now I'm giving them free advertising.
She doesn't work for KCTV5.
But it's a local business, and so and we've dealt with them on Corporate Challenge and stuff. They're very, very nice. So I'm a fan of Hellsberg.
Yeah, well, they picked a good couple. I had a blast hanging with them before the game, and then the game happened, and you and I were there.
You were kind of there nominally. You were up eating and drinking in the press box.
I was in the podium room after, and I can speak to the fact that it took a long time for Mahomes to come out. From what the people say in the locker room, he was kind of sitting in there for a while. For a post-game press conference, and only had three people talk: Andy Reid, Chris Jones, and Patrick Mahomes. It maybe took the longest to like finish the night. The game was already a little bit long to begin with. It ended at like 10:30, 10:35. We weren't done with post-game until like 11:30, I want to say.
And of course, I made it into the locker room because I had to be set up outside and try to feed video back and to be ready to go live and everything. So I got in the locker room just in time for Travis Kelce. And Travis Kelce came out and looked around and looked at all of us. We're all standing there.
He knows what you're there for.
And he said, have a good evening, guys. And he was polite. He didn't cuss. He wasn't rude. and there were people who were unhappy about it. But here's the dirty little secret that I did not know until I got back that night and looked at the video. My viewfinder was, because I've been out in the cold for 5 or 6 hours, I go into a hot, humid environment and it fogged. So I clean it off and I clean the outside of my lens off. And so I think I'm pretty good, but I can't see because there's that inside mirror that's inside your viewfinder. And I'm like, oh, that mirror is, well, it'll be okay. Well, I found out it wasn't the mirror. It was the inside of the lens. So even had he talked, what it would have looked like was complete fog and him going, where's Katie? Katie, quit saying bad things about me, or whatever Travis would have said.
I would never.
Katie, how was the wedding? Because I'm getting married later this year. How was the wedding?
13th.
Should we get married at Arrowhead?
June 13th, 2026.
Would that be cool if he got married at Arrowhead in the parking lot?
I don't think Taylor Swift would ever get married at Arrowhead Stadium in the parking lot.
Would that be cool or what? You talk about a Hallmark movie, that would be a Hallmark movie. And I would be happy to shoot it. I'd be happy to video that wedding for them free of charge.
Maybe they'll fly you out to Rhode Island and you can video their wedding for them.
I am not going to Rhode Island for anything.
Not even Taylor and Travis's wedding?
No, that is not an area of the country. I know you love that up there. I mean, your dream is to live in Upper New Jersey, but I don't. I'm not. I mean, look. I understand how great Rhode Island is and how beautiful the ocean and everything. I just don't. That's not on my radar of places I want to go.
All right. Well, football, like we were saying.
When you get married, you know, a good place to get married would be Pebble Beach, the golf course in California. That would be good. I tried to get my wife to marry me there, and she said yes, and then she thought about it and said no.
We'll see. We'll have to wait and see. My commitment decision coming in, I don't know, like 2 years. Make the announcement. But
your commitment decision, what does that mean?
Like commitment decision on like where I'll get married.
Well, you're like what are you? You're like 19. How old are you?
17.
Okay, 17. So I think you have a few years.
Well, the Chiefs have a game this
I am
Sunday.
trying to talk about anything but the Chiefs because it is so.
We've talked about
disappointing
Neil's
and depressing.
Wife. We've talked about diamonds. We've talked about weddings.
But I'm sick of it. I turn on talk
Taylor
radio,
and Travis,
and everybody's talking about, well, they have 11% or they have a 1%, and I'm like, I'm sick of this. If you want to talk about what the next step is, I'd love to hear it. I don't want to talk about the Chargers game that much because I don't think any of us know exactly what's going on and how the Chiefs will play. I'm curious what experts who look at tape dispassionately say, well, this is the difference from this year's offense and defense to past years. I'm interested in that. I'm interested in, okay, what they're going to have to make some moves. They're going to probably have to trim. They got to trim. They're $40 million over the cap. So they're going to have to cut some people, or they're going to have to trade some people or do something. That's interesting. But I'm sick of, it's just week 20 or whatever of discussing the same discussion. It's like hearing your mom and dad argue over something for 20 years in a row. And you're like, either work it out or stop arguing. I mean, do you have anything to offer about what's wrong with this team and when they're gonna fix it?
No, just a whole lot of shooting themselves in the foot. And I mean, someone did ask Xavier Worthy an interesting question today that I feel like he handled super well. As we were kind of talking about the locker room after the game earlier, half the, like you said, you were waiting for Travis Kelce in there because there was no one else to talk to because half the players were apparently gone. I wasn't in there, but other reporters told me all the players were just gone. No one really wanted to talk to the media.
Can you blame them?
And that's kind of what Xavier Worthy said. You know, someone kind of, I don't know who asked him this, but said like, you know, these fans, they spend all this money and like have this experience to come see you, and then like
I think it was Soren Petro.
Great.
I think Soren Petro asked him that.
Yeah, that sounds correct. And you know, then you guys like don't talk to the media after, like just thoughts on that or whatever. And Worthy, he was pretty honest about it. He was just like, yeah, I mean, like we all, you know, sometimes you're just really upset and like you just don't want to talk to anybody and blah blah blah. So like we get that. But yeah, I think that he handled that super well. But it begs the question: if they lose this Sunday, like, what do you think?
What difference does it make? They're not going to make the playoffs.
They have an 11% chance.
I have an 11% chance.
The Colts have a grandfather in at quarterback. If they lose two of their games.
To me, that is much more interesting than anything that any of us can say about this team. We can't figure this team out. It doesn't mean I don't care, and it doesn't mean that I'm not looking forward to going out there Sunday. I'm just saying that we were here at the station until 2 a.m. or 1:30 in the morning on Monday morning, Sunday night, putting together a story, and the story is the same story over and over and over again, just different names, just different mistakes. They missed a kick. They did this. They did that. The balls bounced off their hands. Is it because Mahomes isn't throwing it where they can catch it because he throws it behind him or he does it? I don't know. I'm shooting the games, and that's not necessarily the greatest vantage point for judging. And seriously, it doesn't mean I'm not rooting for them. And I'd love it if they were able to run the table and at least get to 10 wins and make it interesting. And it would be better if they don't make it. It would still be better to go into the off season with some victories. And I have so many people out there I admire and I've enjoyed covering, whether they be coaches or the people around the team or the guys on the team. I mean, I'm rooting for them. Almost everybody out there has been nice to me, so I have no reason to root against them. But it's just after a while you're like, I don't need to, it's probably like my dad. I'm tired of hearing why you flunk math. I don't want to hear anymore. You're just going to flunk math, It's that type of thing.
Yeah, well, you kind of alluded to the issue facing the Chiefs when it comes to the offseason is the fact that next year they're going to be $40 million over in cap space.
They're currently, I think they're currently around $40 million over the cap.
Yeah, so
although the cap will go up probably because revenues go up every year.
Yeah, and I believe they have only slated for next year 36 players on the roster. So there's going to be a major roster and cap space issue when this season is over, whenever it may end. How worried are you about that?
I'm not, because a lot of teams do this, and the Chiefs are used to this. Now, and it's hard for me to judge. I have to give Andy Reid, Brett Veach, on the personnel side, and all those scouts they've got out there, the personnel pro and college personnel people. I mean, they've got a great track record. In my opinion, it's ridiculous for TV Boy to somehow try to second guess what they're going to do. But it'll be interesting. And there's no question that they have made a lot of decisions over the last 5 years that were based on dollars rather than because of the realities of the salary cap, not because they don't want to spend money, but because they're paying their quarterbacks a significant chunk of it. And how could you argue against that?
We miss Justin Reed.
But you start to lose guys who are playing elsewhere and they're playing better, and you're like, it's a shame that there's a salary cap. If there were no salary cap,
baseball,
it would be. Well, I'm a Dodger fan, and I'm a Royals fan, and they the two ends of the spectrum. But so it's going to be interesting to see who's on the team next year and who isn't.
Yeah, a lot of questions coming. But
just give me a yes or no. I'll let you play the role. Do you want to see Wanya Morris back?
I don't want to make enemies of anybody.
As a starter, do you want him to start next year?
No, that's Josh Simmons' job.
Would you like to see Jawan Taylor start next year at right tackle?
If there's someone better, no. And I think that Jalen Moore is his starting tackle.
Yep. I think that there's going to be some because there's some guys that they haven't been able to cut because of salary cap implication that they will be able to cut. Not that it'll be perfect. There'll be some dead space, but it's not prohibitive dead space. So you can cut a guy. He's not here. We're still having to count him this many dollars against the cap, but he's gone. Because I think they played some guys who probably shouldn't be playing. And that's me from a distance. I don't coach offensive line. Maybe they grade guys differently. But to me, the downfall of this football team began when their inability to sign a consistent left tackle. Orlando Brown didn't accept their offer. He walked to the Cincinnati Bengals, and they've never been solid there, with the exception of times this year when Josh Simmons came in. And you'd expect him to be pretty good when you consider they took him in the first round, albeit at the very end of the first round.
Yeah. No, I think that Josh Simmons is for sure the answer at left tackle. It's just a shame that his season's probably over because the earliest he could come back is week 18, and that's basically like he's only going to come back if they make the playoffs, maybe if he's able to.
Yeah.
So I think they found the answer at left tackle, which is fortunate, but I think right tackle, I think Jalen Moore has proven that he can be that guy.
Yep.
And he's penalized way less. I think overall, like, the Chiefs really did make the next step in having a solid offensive line to protect their franchise quarterback.
And Except I didn't feel like he
But now they're
he
just not
ever
healthy.
looked that comfortable back there. I don't know if you
I
can.
think he looked more comfortable than last year.
Yeah, I would agree.
But not the most comfortable of his career.
No, I mean when he first got here, they had guys who could. You had one of the best right tackles in all of football, Mitchell Schwartz, and you had a solid left tackle. You had Joe Tooney at left guard. You had
He's missed there.
and they've had really good centers. Even before Creed Humphrey got here, they had a run of centers who were really good. And Trey Smith's been a right guard. They had an offensive line that looked like they could protect him, and he could stand back there and move around and keep his eyes upfield without having to wonder if he's going to get blown up.
Yeah.
And my wife asked a question last night, and I thought it was a reasonable question. She said, if the Chiefs are indeed out of it, will they sit Patrick Mahomes? And I said, I don't think so. And she goes, well, what if he blows out a knee? What if he injures his throwing shoulder because he's in some game that doesn't even matter? And I go, in the NFL, they don't really rest people like that. Although I did recall when the Chiefs got smoked out of the gate by the Tennessee Titans on the road, they pulled Mahomes out. There was no point for him to play the fourth quarter when they're down whatever they were. And I don't remember what it was. It was like 38-0 or 38-3 or something.
And the same thing happened to the Commanders at the midpoint of the season. They were down by about 30 at the start of the fourth quarter, and they still had Jaden Daniels in there, and then he got absolutely blown up, and then he missed several weeks after that.
How'd that work out?
Not very good.
I am a huge fan of resting and not throwing your superstars out there when they don't need to be out there. That is not the NFL mentality. And I've been told by multiple people with the Chiefs over the years, the reasons it's that way is the agents demand that the players play because they need to get their numbers.
Incentives.
So if you're way up or way down, that doesn't matter. They need to be out there. And I think that's a really short-sighted approach.
Yeah. It begs the question across the NFL because, I mean, the Raiders have been out of the playoffs since 4 or 5 weeks ago, but Brock Bowers has still been playing. Ashton Genty's still been playing. So it kind of begs the question across the NFL of like, okay, well, in the final few weeks, if you're a 2-win team, are you still playing your starters? Why should the Chiefs view it any differently? Is it because of that culture and that championship mindset that they have in the team that
this is
maybe
show
other teams
business
just don't have?
This is show business.
Yeah.
And put on a show. And, the tickets are expensive and parking is expensive. And so, maybe there's a sense of, look, the team's going nowhere. I'm talking about the Raiders. The team's going nowhere, but people come out and they want to see an NFL show. They don't want to see a minor league show. So maybe that's part of it. But I agree. I mean, heck, they could have probably week 3 on. They could have just set the starters. It made no difference.
Give the practice squad guys their time to shine. Okay, well,
So is it time to give up?
No.
So you're not giving up. You haven't given up yet.
No.
You think the Chiefs could
Until
absolutely could win all those games and they could go?
Maybe. Until I see a dead body, until the nail is in the coffin and there's a playoff bracket that's released and the Chiefs aren't on it, I'm not going to count them out. That's my answer.
Okay.
I know better.
No bowls? Does that mean no Super Bowls? Is that what you meant by that?
Oh, no. We're talking college football because nobody wants to play in a bowl game besides Mizzou because Mizzou has 8 wins?
8 wins.
8 wins.
And they got a good bowl. They're going to go down and play in the Gator Bowl.
Yes. But K-State and KU have both rejected bowl bids. As have many other teams within the Big 12.
So why did Kansas reject it? I know K-State.
That's the question. K-State
I've been off for the last 2 days.
It's a great question, and it's why I bring it up and we can discuss because K-State has 6 wins. They sealed their bowl eligibility in their final week against Colorado, and reportedly, what we're seeing from some beat writers around the beat in Manhattan, all the seniors wanted to play in the bowl. Many of the underclassmen voted against it, and it was ultimately decided that they will not be playing in a bowl because of the coaching change.
Why is there a vote? Did your mom and dad give you and the kids a vote on whether or not to wear seatbelts or to eat normal food and not eat Jell-O 7 days a week for every meal? I mean, somebody has to be the grown-up, right? Don't they have to be the grown-up and go, look,
Well, I think that someone ultimately was, and that's why they said no, because they had to look at the facts of they don't know who would coach them in the bowl game, because I don't think Chris Kleiman wanted to do it, and Colin Klein can't. because he's coaching with A&M through their postseason run.
So, and I presumably some of the assistants, nobody knows if they have jobs or not.
Yeah.
And they want to be making phone calls and doing interviews this time of year rather than hanging around coaching for a bowl game, not knowing if they have a job after it. Is that what you're saying?
Possibly.
Then
it brings up the KU of it all. KU is a 5-win team. They wanted to get 6 wins. They wanted to become bowl eligible.
Yeah, I don't get it.
They get
and they got a staff.
Bowl.
They have a coaching staff in place.
And this is why I don't understand why KU is not playing in a bowl. They have everything they need. It was something they wanted to be a part of. They wanted 6 wins so they could continue their season and go to a bowl game. It would be like a dream scenario for Jalen Daniels to actually get to play his final game as a Jayhawk.
But would he
want
to do that?
I think it was going to be against like an FCS smaller opponent. So no, Jalen had said he wanted to keep riding it out and everything else. They have a head coach. They have a full coaching staff. They have all their players. No one's really entered the transfer portal yet. I think they've seen one player has entered the portal. I don't understand KU not taking a bid there.
That's interesting.
That's beyond me.
Well, Lance, I think you would agree. Lance Leipold's a pretty smart guy.
Yeah.
And he was pretty stubborn. So if he really wanted to do it and he could probably impose his will, the university would have probably followed his lead.
Yeah.
So
it might just be a pride thing. We didn't get 6 wins, so we don't want to.
Or it might be something as simple as we don't want to practice during that thing because we need to recruit. So the transfer portal's going to open up.
Yeah.
And who knows? But he's a smart guy. I kind of defer to his opinion, but there is no coach over at K-State.
Yeah.
So it's who's making the decisions? So I don't know. And what's crazy is you say the seniors want to play. Bowl practices, this is a time when the younger players get a lot more reps. This is when they can really take a leap forward.
Avery Johnson got his first career start in the Pop-Tarts Bowl 3 years ago. 2 years ago. But it opens up the bigger question of, because KU and K-State are not the only teams that declined bowl bids. Iowa State also has no coach right now.
And it makes no sense, too. That's terrible.
Baylor
they won 8
one.
games.
Baylor declined one.
Baylor,
I think
me a break.
1 or 2 other Big 12 teams did. I'm blanking on
Is
which
Dave
ones.
Aranda still the coach at Baylor? How is he still the coach? They've got great facilities. He took over, and they have crashed and burned.
A lot of teams have declined to play in a bowl. As we know, Notre Dame declined to play in a bowl.
Oh, that had nothing to do with ego.
Because they're angry about the college football playoff and whatever else. It opens a larger question of what's going to happen to bowls. They're becoming less important with the college football playoff, with 12 teams being in it.
They've never been really important except for the fan bases that like them. The players get to go away and have a little bit of fun. Their families come. A lot of the people at the universities get to come. I mean, I loved them. But I covered good bowls. I covered the Orange Bowl and stuff like that. I didn't cover the Pop-Tarts Bowl.
They're fun. Hey, the Pop-Tarts Bowl is fun.
Where is
Pop-Tarts? Orlando.
Okay, that's not bad.
Pop-Tarts.
No, that's good. Orlando's good.
I covered the Guaranteed Rate Bowl and the Liberty Bowl. Guaranteed Rate Bowl was much better hospitality-wise, I will say. They gave us a nice Christmas feast on Christmas Eve, which was super nice because we were there during Christmas.
Did Santa find you?
Santa found me. He delivered me a nice resort to stay at, and I thank him for that. But no, the bowl games are fun, but it's with 12 teams being in the playoff and it being more of an attainable goal, and the fact that all these coaching changes are happening so early on, and the transfer portal opens when it does. I just think they're going to, if they don't change or maybe become a preseason thing, they might just be ceasing to exist in the next few years.
I was talking to somebody on radio on Monday, and they were talking about the whole situation with bowls and how the biggest teams are going to split off and have their own division. You know, the SEC, the Big Ten, the top schools in the ACC, the top schools in the Big 12, but not everybody. And I'm like, that if it's not college, why? If it's not going to be college football, then why am I rooting for it? Because if I just want to root for pro football, and they have everything like pro football, why not just root for the NFL and forget about the minor league? Because this becomes minor league. What makes college different is because it is different. Because You play for a good old university. You wear it on your shirt. I don't wear a lot of professional stuff, but I wear stuff from my kids. My son went to Mizzou. He owns a bunch of Mizzou stuff. My daughter went to KU. She owns a bunch of KU stuff. My wife and I both went to Oklahoma. We have some Oklahoma stuff, not a ton, but some Oklahoma stuff. It's a different dynamic than rooting for the NFL. If they take out everything, all the joy of college, the marching bands and some of the stuff, the homecoming parades and at Mizzou, I've seen that because my son was in the Mizzou marching band. Stuff like, if they take that away, then forget it. I'm just going to root for the NFL. The NFL's good enough. I don't need that, So they better be careful with how they do this. They better get ahead of this transfer portal and have it during a reasonable period of time. They've got to absolutely do what Nick Saban has said and create some arbitrary rules about when you can and cannot hire coaches. Do what the NFL does. You cannot hire a coach until his season's over with.
Yep.
And
they do it the right way.
This stuff's been going on forever. Oh, this has just become a problem. No, the year that Kansas was at the Orange Bowl and Missouri was playing in the Cotton Bowl after the 2007 season, this happened to like 8 teams. Their coaches left, and it was the first huge year where a bunch of teams were bowl eligible, and their coaches left. And so, including the team that Missouri played, the University of Arkansas. And those teams all lost. And the kids are there going, we're playing, That back then, players didn't opt out.
Yeah.
Coaches opted out first, and now players are following their suit. But there's going to be some things where if I'm at a university and I'm going to pay Katie. I'm going to pay Katie, $175,000 a year in NIL.
I'll take
that.
Then
part of the deal is you're going to play in the bowl game.
Yeah, and that's just what it's probably going to become one day. Players signing contracts that say things like this, and we're probably 10 years away from it happening, but it's going to happen eventually.
I don't know that it might be less than 10 because it might be, if it's on the NIL side, I'm not talking about becoming university employees. You're right. That becomes a whole different thing. That becomes it's a huge legal hurdle. But I'm saying if I'm an NIL guy, hey, I want to give Avery Johnson money for the Kansas lottery. But here's the deal: you're going to play in the bowl game. Mm-hmm. If you don't play in the bowl game, then that's prorated. We're taking money away from you.
Yep.
It's just reasonable.
Well, before we go, we had some bowl games of their own.
Did
the
you
Show Me Bowl?
Did you cover any of those games?
No.
How did you get out of that? Because we were out in the cold and rain and everything. Mark went, I went.
Well, on Friday, I was here talking about the World Cup, and on Saturday, I was putting together our Price Chopper Game Day show. Well,
you did that in like 45 minutes, and you sat back there and looked at all these different sites.
An hour-long show. It takes a long time,
No,
Neil.
It was like this. Boy, big question mark on defense. Let's bring in Neil Jones and Desmond Moses. Guys, what do you think about that? That's how long it took to write. That's a 5-minute segment that she just took care of.
It took me 8 hours. But you were at the state championship for Platte County. You have a story on them that aired at 5 o'clock today.
Mark actually covered that, and it was from Friday, and he did a great job. There was great video. We're going to have a longer version of this. I had a chance to go out there today to Platte County. It's their back-to-back state championship. They've won 28 straight games. Their coach, great guy. His son plays for him, so there's that angle. And then they had the Kansas City high school version of the Heisman Trophy winner, Rocco Marriott, the quarterback at Platte County. And both of the kids that I interviewed, the 2 young men, one's going to play football at Kansas next year. Rocco Marriott's going to be a quarterback down at University of Central Florida, UCF, in the Big 12. Both of those guys, great interviews, seemed really, really mature. It was a blast being up there. And Coach has been unbelievable over the year. So it's fun. We're going to have a longer version of that will air this weekend on KC Sports Tonight. And then as soon as this thing ends, I am leaving to go do an interview with a different coach and a very different story that will be on either tomorrow or Friday.
So much high school football coverage, even when the season's over. Stick with us for all of it. And congrats to everyone, both Kansas and Missouri side, that won a state championship this year.
And coming up tomorrow on this show, Katie's going to get mad. I'm going to challenge her to be angry about something because I'm tired of her being so even-tempered.
I can think of things to be angry about.
And as long as they're not me.
You were at the top of my list.
I was afraid of that.
All right. Tomorrow, you heard it. I'll be angry at Neil for something. Bye.